Sorry we're a little late. Hope you're all well. We're not going to take a lot of time. I'm pretty sure everybody wants to know what decision Council made about Russia, so we're not going to waste your time by talking about other things. I'm going to hand over to Rune to just give you an update on his report to Council, and then we'll answer any questions.
Thank you, Jackie. So the task force presented its report to the Council today. And we have taken note of what has been occurring in the WADA's executive committee today too. As you know, they had a meeting in Tokyo where they made a decision to start a non-compliance procedure. On the positive side, the task force advised the Council that RUSAF has paid the invoice of August 2019 and that this condition has now been satisfied. But the task force also advised Council that there is a recurring problem of athletes and local athletic federations working with band coaches, which undermines creation of any strong anti-doping culture. It is premature to tell if the reported measures taken by RUSAF will work. Therefore, the associated reinstatement conditions have not been met. Because of the early indications from the analysis of the data are that there are discrepancies between the LIMS database, which appear to be not random, and that the AIU has not confirmed the data is authentic and untampered. This reinstatement condition has not been met either. And lastly, given what has been reported in the Daniel Lyshenko case concerning the alleged involvement of senior RUSAF officials and the fact that the AIU's investigation to establish whether or not RUSAF is implicated in fabricated documents is still underway, it clearly cannot be said that this reinstatement condition has been met. Since RUSAF has not met the reinstatement conditions, the task force recommended and the Council unanimously agreed that RUSAF should not be reinstated at this time. Further, the IAAF Council proposed to Congress that it not reinstate RUSAF and that instead it continue the suspension of RUSAF's membership until Council decides that all of the reinstatement conditions established by Council from time to time have been met. Thank you.
Okay, Seb, did you want to add anything or shall I go to Q&A?
No, you can go straight to Q&A.
Okay, usual drill. If you have a question, please put your hand up and say where you are from. Yes. Wait for the microphone. Thank you.
I think I'm from Russia, and I think only me and my cameraman from Russia here. So I don't understand all what you say, because if you will speak slowly and separately. So now it's like yesterday. So like Russian Athletic Federation, like past 4 years, it's still the same situation, still suspended. And do you have information about data of Moscow laboratory? How many changes it was?
We have data from WADA, and we have received data from the Athletics Integrity Unit that again has received data from WADA, and we are basing our recommendation on these facts, and that is why we have recommended as we have.
Okay. Hi.
Pat Graham, Associated Press. Is there a, you said that it's, you're going to uphold the ban, but is there a date you're looking at? As in, are the Olympics completely out, or how does that stand?
Sorry, the IOC is responsible for the Olympics, not us. I'll ask Rune to answer. So the question was, do we have a date by which we would like RUSAF reinstated. Was that a fair summary of your question?
I can only refer to what we as a task force is being told by WADA and by the Athletics Integrity Unit, namely that there are allegations of manipulation of data from the lab in Moscow. We do not have the facts, but we are relying on this information. We know that there is an ongoing investigation into this, and that we are being told that there will be information revealed to everybody in November. So that's what we know.
Seb, did you?
Jackie, yeah, look, let me just be entirely clear here. It really does not remotely surprise me that the Council unanimously endorsed the strongest recommendation that we have probably thus had, from the task force, that the Russian Federation remain suspended. That will be our position as we enter Congress, and I'm sure the member federations will want to endorse the unanimous position that was struck by the Council. We had a lengthy discussion today in Council after Runa and the task force reported to us, and the issues were debated in length, and the feeling was very strong about this.
Gentleman at the front.
Hi Seb, Matt Hughes from the Daily Mail. On that subject, have you been surprised by the data you've received from WADA and the alleged manipulation of positive tests?
Look, we obviously have to wait for, WADA has made their position clear today. They have extended the period for the investigation, and it's clearly being fast-tracked. We will obviously await with interest, but there is also work that is undergoing with the AIU that are here with us today, and also reported to us today to the Council. So yes, we will obviously have to wait for that. But the AIU also have a very big role to play in terms of the analysis of that data and the implications that that has specifically for our sport.
Matt, does that answer your question? I think you were asking specifically about the information that WADA released today, were you? Yeah, I think that was what Seb was answering before, in terms of course, we, do you want to go back over it? Were you surprised at the data?
No, I'm sorry, no, look, I wasn't. Look, of course we are concerned by the information that has been released today. WADA will undertake whatever is necessary to understand what these discrepancies are, how these discrepancies can be interpreted. The AIU, I know, also has embarked upon that work. But the point that I want to reinforce is that the resolutions that were strongly unanimously endorsed today in Council will be the position we take to Congress and the member federations on Wednesday.
Okay, any other questions? We'll go to the gentleman at the front because you haven't, and then we'll go to the only Russian in the room apart from a cameraman.
Hi, it's Eddie Pels from AP. There's been some pretty explosive reports about possible doping in Kenya. Did you guys have any chance to talk about that today?
No, not specifically. And I know that the AIU is following up on some accusations that have been made in the German media. And obviously, that's very much a matter for the AIU, but I'm sure they will report back as soon as they have established the facts to the IAAF.
And just so you know, the AIU is meeting ZDF here in Doha, where they're going to hand over what they have. So I think once we've got that, or once they have that, things may be clearer. Yes, and then I'll come across to this side of the room.
It's a really important time for us because now WADA is trying to compare the data from Moscow laboratory and the data from informer of WADA. Everybody knows who it is. And if it is a big difference, RUSADA will be suspended one more time. We have 1 year to Olympic Games in Tokyo. Which future you can predict to all Russian sport now, if the difference will be?
Sorry, look, with all due respect, that is not the brief that I have. The brief I have is for, ideally, the reinstatement of a Russian federation that is fit for purpose and serving the best interests of athletics, and that is entirely what we're focused on. WADA will maintain its work in this area, and the other decisions are for other sports to take, and presumably the Olympic movement.
Yes, lady at the front.
You try to make the fairest game possible by doping and also by like what happened with Caster Semenya and gender. How do you think that the direction of sports and gender will go, and can it reach to a point where it has its own category?
Look, let me deal with the particular issue you raised around athletes with the condition, the DSD. We have sought to find a navigable route through, and that navigable route, I hope, results in those athletes with that condition remaining in the sport, being part of international sport, but the responsibility of an international federation that is responsible for our classifications, our rules, our codes, is to maintain, where possible, the level playing field in competition. So those regulations have been tabled specifically with that in mind. This is not about any individual, it's not about a particular country or even a continent. So those regulations have been tabled for what we believe to be not only the right reasons, but proportionate reasons. Actually, the words of CAS, the Court of Arbitration, was that they were necessary and proportionate, and we are also in a process, and probably to say much more than that is inappropriate at this moment.
Okay. Yes, gentleman at the back.
Ian Axon from Reuters Television. How disappointed are you that it's the eve of your World Championships here, and the first sort of half a dozen questions in the press conference have all been about doping?
Look, it is the territory that we are in, and you can't retrofit history, and nor should we attempt to. But I'm actually pleased you've raised that question, because no one country is bigger than the championships that we are going to look forward to here. We have a record number of countries. We have anywhere up to 40 countries that have a chance of winning medals. We are one of the only 2 global sports, and this is the largest sporting event of the year. So I think overwhelmingly, the athletes that I've spoken to, the federations I've spoken to, are focusing entirely on that, and not some of the other issues, which is the way they should be at this moment. So yes, of course, these are the challenges that a sport confronts, but they are not remotely the largest challenges that we face. The largest challenge we face is to maintain our sport at the top of the sporting pyramid, and to remain exciting and salient for young people. And given the array of talent that will be appearing on the track and in the field and on the road in the next week or so, I'm sure that that will be pretty good fodder for their appetite.
Okay, any other last questions? Yes.
Thank you. Mark Cullen from TrackRaddy.com. I'd like to ask about a different kind of assistance. And that has to do with Eliud Kipchoge's much ballyhooed attempt to break 2 hours with the assistance of multiple fresh pacers with shoes that are advertised at 4% improvement in performance, and with cars breaking the wind in front of them. My question partly is, what does IAAF think of this? Do you endorse it? Is it good for the sport? And does it lead us to a point when we start having springs in the shoes for high jumpers?
You raise a number of issues there. The issue of the technicality of the shoes is permanently a process of review, and we do review it regularly. We have a team that's doing that right now, not with a particular model or shoe in mind, but that's some of the regulations we are looking at. Look, I can be pretty relaxed about this. I think that anything that attracts attention to our sport within reasonable boundaries, I think we recognize that attracts interest and excitement. It is a barrier. It's not something that would be ratified as a world record. And look, I have encouraged federations, I've encouraged organizations that want to promote our sport to be creative and sometimes think out of the box. And if people are going to get excited by that, and a few young people might decide that marathon running or road running is for them, or frankly just wanting to do something about their health and well-being through running, which is the most, it's the most populated sport on the planet. More people do what we do than any other sport, then I can be pretty Catholic about it, actually. I'm very relaxed.
Yes, yeah, of course, one more, sure.
Pat Graham again from AP. Seb, I just want to know, you guys have taken all these precautions with heat and everything, and Khalifa Stadium's well air conditioned. I just want to see, how do you think the marathon's going to play out in this heat? And I guess outside of the box, it's being held at midnight. That's adds a cool little element to it, as it were.
Look, where would I start on this? I think there's a broader point, and I've said this before, so sorry if I'm being slightly repetitive here. I have got rather tired, frankly, and it's probably a sign of my age, that I seem to have been to the same congresses and conventions and, happy moments where we've all stood up and said all the same platitudes about globalizing sport and taking it to places that we've never taken it before and impacting and imprinting on young people. And when we actually do that, then, you get people rushing to TripAdvisor and then sort of questioning political structures. I'm not sure that everybody that came to London in 2012 agreed with everything that we did politically or in our foreign policy. But, we should not be picking our sporting relationships according to political structures. That's not to say we come to places that don't, that we're, don't recognize pose challenges. But actually, globalizing our sport is going to pose challenges. Sometimes they're going to pose climatic challenges. Sometimes they're going to pose political, cultural challenges. But I've never, ever, in all the time I've been in sport and trying to avoid these congresses where everybody stands up and says the same thing, I've never yet been to a country where sport is being taken for the first time, or maybe into new territories where it hasn't flicked the dial politically or socially or economically. So long may that be the case. The interesting thing here, of course, is that what the climatic challenges have meant is that there has been a lot of effort and time taken to understand not only the technology that will be transferable for championships going forward, but it has actually given us an opportunity to do a lot of work through our medical teams around the management of heat. And that will probably be, those findings will probably be more applicable and frankly more profound for us going forward to Tokyo than they will be here. So the stadium is air conditioned, the indoor facilities are air conditioned, the call rooms are in the same situation. The outdoor facility, we will have some cooling mechanisms in there. And, we will redouble our efforts on the road courses to make sure that we have even greater medical support there and probably more water than is humanly possible to actually get to a marathon and a road course. So look, this is a good place to be, and it has allowed us to be creative and do some innovative things. The evening-only sessions and the mixed relays and combining the two combined events on the same day, the ability to showcase the latter stages of many of our field events. All this is good, and actually, you know, we can learn a lot from this, and I hope some of these things become norms in future World Championships.
And if you haven't seen it, we're also doing a pilot of a tablet that athletes are taking, which is an internal thermometer, and we'll be measuring their heat. So as Seb said earlier, that's some of the work we're doing to trial new things, and our medical teams are going to look at that because it may be very helpful for Tokyo. Okay, I can't, you know, people aren't dancing in the aisles, so
Don't encourage them.
Yeah, go home. Go home. Well, no, not like really home. Stay here. Watch. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Sorry to keep you waiting.